The picture behind me is from a social media campaign going on in Sri Lanka. I don't understand why they decided to choose these bizarre Gumby arms, but that is probably the funniest thing about this story. Okay, Coca-Cola has poisoned the water of millions in Sri Lanka, and you've probably never heard about it. That's right, America. It's reported this week that the Coca-Cola Corporation is offering an apology for leaking diesel fuel into the Kelani River in Sri Lanka. Millions of Sri Lankans are now left without water as a result of the spill because the river is the primary drinking water source for many large areas in Sri Lanka. Thanks, Coke. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so here's what Coke had to say for their part in this travesty. Okay, contamination occurred due to an explosion at the plant during construction carried out by a private contractor. Now, one of the first rules of a good corporate apology is blaming it on someone that's not yourself, right? So Coca-Cola is allegedly taking responsibility. They say they're going to pay compensation to the victims of the spill, but let's just be clear, we didn't do this, right? It was a private contractor. They screwed up. You can definitely still continue to drink Coke, right? Okay, the statement was made just after the organization suspended the factory's license to operate. Okay, so in a move to avoid high payments in court, Coke is reportedly pressuring the government to allow them to settle issue out of court, as any good American business would do. Now, also important to note, another good one is Coke definitely knew about this contamination well before any information was released to the public. Before the news of contamination went public, Coke released a PR press release saying they're committed to replenishing the water they used and contaminated with their factories, released with full knowledge of the river disaster, but not referencing it. Okay, so here's my big beef of many big beefs. Listen, if you are Coca-Cola, one of the largest corporations in the entire world, right? Recognizable brand, you know, enjoyed by many. I like a good cola every once in a while. Don't get me wrong about that. Here's the thing. Listen, if you're going to be a big player, you got to back it up. When you make a mistake and you ruin the drinking water of 1 million people, I don't want to hear financial compensation. I want to see, let's send some freaking helicopters down there right now, get them some clean water, and think about what they can do about it. I don't want to hear lip service from your press release. I want to hear you blaming it on an outside contractor. I want to feel taking some real ownership of the problem here. Listen, when you're operating on that big of a scale, there are going to be consequences, and it doesn't just affect the little bubble that your corporate headquarters lives in, right? You are a global corporation, and it's time to act accordingly, right? Why don't you check and make sure everyone's okay, right? This is your problem, Coke. And now, of course, they're going to say, well, why don't we just settle this out of court? Let's just throw some money at the situation as fast as possible and forget about it. Let's definitely not worry about the 1 million people. Can you imagine if 1 million people in the United States didn't have clean drinking water? Maybe Coke would care a little more, right? Maybe they would at least do some lip service PR campaign. Coke cares. We're sorry for poisoning your water with diesel fuel. But no, there you have it, folks. Coke is screwing up again. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe.